Hi, I'm Manuel.
Hi, I'm Miguel,
Welcome to Heineken Valencia.
where we are decarbonizing industrial processes.
Miguel, thank you very much for welcoming Enlit on the Road to this solar thermal plant at the Heineken Brewery in Valencia. Explain to me, how does the Fresnel technology work that is applied here?
So the technology, as you said, is called linear Fresnel, and linear Fresnel is a solar concentrating technology, meaning that we use mirrors. These that you see are highly reflectance mirrors, and we use mirrors to track the sun and reflect the sunlight into an absorber tube. This is like a very specific absorber tube. It's a vacuum tube with a selective coating, and these absorber tubes absorb all the energy reflected by the mirrors, and we use it to heat a fluid to a very high temperature. Here in Valencia, we have 6,000 square meters of mirrors, and we are heating pressurized water up to 220 degrees. We take all this hot water and we use the energy to generate saturated steam in this component, which is a kettle reboiler at 6 bar, which is the pressure that the factory needs for the brewing process.
What makes this solar thermal plant so innovative and unique?
So first I would say the scale, because linear Fresnel are commonly used in large scale, but for electricity production. And for industrial applications, like in this case, they're usually like small-scale pilot demos. This one is the largest linear Fresnel in an industrial application for producing steam. Second thing is just the modularity, because this plant, as you can see, is built out of modules, and these are like pre-assembled, like plug-and-play modules that we built here in Valencia. So imagine when we build the plant, it was like building like a Lego project.
What makes this technology particularly useful to decarbonize industrial processes?
First, I would say that we can reach high temperature, and that is needed because industry needs high temperature. And also, as you can see in a factory, every square meter matters. This technology, linear Fresnel, is very compact, so we can actually pack a lot of mirrors per square meter. So the only free available surface is this maintenance corridor. This way we can actually increase the generation per unit of land. We were able to adapt to this complex geometry because, as you can see, the solar plant is built in different levels. So thanks to this modularity, we were able to optimize the available land. And that's why I think linear Fresnel is a very good fit for industrial processes.
Manuel, thank you very much for welcoming Enlit on the Road to Heineken España. Why did the brewery move from conventional gas heating to a solar thermal technology?
In Heineken Spain, we are really committed to fighting climate change, and as part of our sustainability roadmap, Brew a Better World, decarbonizing our production processes is a priority. And our ambition is to be 100% using renewable energy by the end of this year, 2025, and also contributing to the global ambition that Heineken has, that is to become net zero by 2030. This thermosolar plant that we have installed here in Valencia is a huge milestone for us, because at the end we are using a new technology and it's giving us very, very good results. We are reaching a percentage that is quite important of all our thermal energy using it by the brewery, and this is crucial for our brewing processes. So it's really, really a huge milestone for us.
What makes Spain and the brewery in Valencia in particular the right place to implement this new technology?
Yeah, Spain has been always pioneer in concentrated solar technologies. In fact, 15 years ago, 75% of the total global capacity was here in Spain. So at the end, that means that we have been years developing and building solar plants. So we have the expertise and we have the know-how. But this is not just related to expertise, it's also related with the proper location. At the end, Spain has the highest solar radiation in Europe, so it's the perfect place in order to develop and implement and scale this kind of project. Now we see the momentum regarding concentrated solar for industrial heat. Largest project in Europe have been developing here in Spain, and the fastest growing in this kind of project is happening right here.
How important is collaboration for the decarbonization of industry?
Climate change needs to be addressed by two things. First of all is the transformation of our production processes, but need to be supported by public and private collaboration. In this case, the subsidy we receive from the Institute of Diversification and Energy Saving, it has been key in order to cover this project.
How do you see the future of this type of technology in the decarbonization of these type of processes?
I think it's going to scale up. I think it's going to be more and more common because nowadays most of the industry already decarbonize some of the lower temperature demand, and now it's time for these very hard to abate processes that need high temperature, and this technology fits perfect.
The sun is shining today.
Yeah.
The proof is in the pudding. If the sun doesn't shine, how can a solar plant like this still provide value to the brewery?
We're not producing electricity, we're producing heat, and heat is easily stored in a thermal storage. So in this particular case, we do not produce steam during the night, just because during the day when the sun shines, the demand of the factory is higher than the energy that we produce, so there is no excess that we can store. But for example, during the weekends, especially during Sundays, which the factory is not in operation, all the energy produced is stored in the thermal storage, and then you can produce the steam early morning on Monday.
You are from Valencia.
Yeah.
The company is founded in Valencia. What does it mean to you to have this technology applied in the Valencian context?
Well, of course, it's fantastic to have companies like Heineken who actually invest in local technology, which is actually designed and built here.
What is the role of renewable energy in a region like Valencia that can experience climate disaster as we saw last year?
So what happened in Valencia like a couple months ago makes you reflect and think on what is the world that we want for tomorrow. It is clear for me, and I think for most of the people, that we need to change. And I think renewable energy has like a very important role, mostly in sectors like the industrial sector, which is very hard to decarbonize.
Thank you very much, Miguel, for sharing your insights.
Welcome.
For more insights, join the Enlit community.